Alright, Adam Stark here. I'm here to talk about my top 5 personal favorite video game ideas. Things that I've always wanted to see, never have, and possibly never will. So, yeah, no particular order, but I am going to save my best, most personal favorite thing I would like to see in a video game for last. Okay? Alright, and a common theme in these games, something I would love to see, is great AI, artificial intelligence, smart bots, as in NPCs and non-playable characters, smart ones. I like intelligent characters and stuff like that. Great graphics, destructible environments, large battles, split screen capabilities, and the ability to enjoy the game even if you don't have internet. That's a big thing for me. Anyways, okay. Oh, and none of these games have titles, by the way. So, all right. So the first one that a game I'd love to have would be kind of cool if somebody could pull it off. Be pretty difficult. I'd like a see. I love the show Forensic Files. I think it's a great show. And I love how you go through. If you haven't seen the show, how you go through a murder mystery or a missing person mystery or an arson mystery, and you go from the beginning of it in the chain of events all the way through to the end, and the result in court and everything like that, the verdict, and you get to see just how these things are solved in real life. How you see the initial reaction from when the crime first occurs, and then you get to, look through all the evidence. You get to question witnesses and stuff like that. So what I would want in a game, and I think this game would be fun on on a mobile device or on like a virtual reality device or on like the Kinect or something like a I don't know what you'd call it, but like a camera based kind of game. So this is how I picture the game. I think this would be great. So it would be randomly selected every time, so you don't know which one you're gonna get when you start, and so that's part of the programming that would be hard to do. Maybe I don't know. I've never programmed a thing in my life, but so or so you click boom start game. Okay, then you don't know what you're gonna get, right? So you could get an arson, you could get a murder, you could get a double murder, you could get a missing person or a couple missing people or mysterious disappearances or something, or maybe like a robbery. I should have mentioned that too, an unsolved robbery or something. Okay, so then the game would start, maybe have like a cut scene of the aftermath of the crime or something. Okay, then here you are, first person view. You're looking through the crime scene. You're looking at all sorts of stuff in this game. So you're trying to find things. Some things are just there that don't matter. Some things might matter, and you choose what evidence you think you'll need later, and so on and so forth. Okay, then the next event, let's say you found a fingerprint. Okay, and you have to test the fingerprint. Well, see, I think what would be cool in a game is if you could actually feel like you're doing that process yourself instead of just a loading screen and a cutscene that says, "Hey, this fingerprint is blah blah blah." I think it'd be cool if you had to do that yourself. So, um, all right, let's say this crime took place in the 70s or something. Okay, then you'd have to take the fingerprint and then with your controller or using virtual reality motion or something, you could kind of like dust the fingerprint or something. And this is where a lot of research would need to come in. And I think it'd be cool. Like, okay, see how real people do it. I'd like to see real research and get expert opinions and people that have done this in their lifetime. I'd like to be able to see that so real people can see the grotesque nature of a lot of the things that these professionals have gone through. So if this was an older crime, you'd probably have to do some kind of a finger dusting method or something onto paper or something. I don't know, just saying. And then if it was a newer sort of crime, okay, well then you type it into the computer and then you look it up on the mainframe of convicted felons or whatever. And so, but you would do that though instead of it being just like a cut scene or whatever, like you've seen in other games. you would physically do it in the game. I want to do that. So you're part of every interaction that goes on in an investigation. Then when you question people, you are the one doing that in the game. Give you a list of options for things to say and see which leads make sense to follow, which ones don't. If it's right, if it's wrong, if it's a mistake, if they're giving you, if they're leading you into nowhere or leading you in the wrong direction or whatever, you kind of decide for yourself, sort of thing. Okay, I think that'd be cool. And now, in that, and again, that event would be random as well. It'd be hard to program, I'm assuming, but so when you start a new crime, in one crime, it might, or one whole crime, maybe it's easy. Maybe it's, okay, a fingerprint, and then you find out who it is, and then you have to find out where they are, and then you have to convict them in court or something. Then maybe the next time there's a fingerprint, oh my god, it doesn't match anybody known. Then you got to look for witness statements. You got to look for weird evidence, like, oh, you found crazy petals of rare flowers at the crime scene that weren't, you know, very prudent to that area or something. So it'd be like that kind of a case or whatever. And then of course, you would go through the process of eliminating your suspects and whatever. And then another part of the game that I absolutely want to see 100% in my game is, okay, when you go to court and you are presenting your case for your evidence, I want you to be doing that part in the game, not just watching a cutscene of it happening. I want you to actually do that part. So you take part as your team's attorney or lawyer or whatever, and then you take part as your team's witnesses, asking the witnesses or whatever, as they will cross-examine the witness you have, and then also you take part as playing as their experts in the fields of study that is going to take place on your side of court. And so I would love to see, and then this, what would be crazy about this is, so if you did a horrible job of getting evidence and getting witnesses and getting statements, and you suck or you went in the wrong direction, you still have to play that part and watch yourself get embarrassed and lose, as the judge would say, well, you didn't present anything useful, so obviously I can't let this go any further. You lose or whatever, or watch the jury. I'm not saying I know how court works, but I'm saying watch the jury say, well, obviously we can't convict your suspect because you didn't give enough evidence or whatever. Like, I want that to be part of the game, is what I'm saying. So every step of this fictional investigations, I want you to be playing it, all of it. So, and the point that would make this game a lot of fun is one thing, which is randomness, which is you don't know what you're going to get every time you play it. Is the thing that I would love about this game. Is, okay, you click start game, you have no idea, and there should be a nice program where it should randomly select between just a high number, in the double digits, number of events that could take place between each phase of this entire crime investigation. So you don't know how good this criminal is at whatever crime is being committed. They might be amazing, they might be an amateur, they might be just in the middle, they might be more than one criminal or perpetrator or whatever. I want every one of these things to be randomly selected so that no story can ever come out exactly the same. Names and character names or something, I don't think would be too hard to program that as to being random, but other things I'm sure would take a longer time to do so. But I'm just saying, that's what would make this fun to me. So not a story where you're going through the story and you start at one and go to the end of the game and whatever. No, I don't want that. See, I just want every time you play it, it's completely different, so you don't know what you're going to get. You might get a case with amazing 100 pieces of evidence, your first crime scene you go to, and you convict them and you go to court and it's a bam. Or another case where it's extremely difficult, or maybe another case where it's extremely difficult in a different fashion, where there's two suspects that could likely have done it. How do you prove it? Whatever. But my point is, every step of the way is you are doing the action in the game. So if you're testing chemicals, if you're testing fingerprints, if you're testing dog hair, whatever you're testing in this game, you are the one doing it. You're not watching a cutscene or a video of it happening and then it goes, oh, here's your result. I want you to be doing it. So if you're testing dog hair or something, I want you to be able to look in the game and see your hand grabbing that hair, putting it in the machine or whatever, and that's what I want to see. I think that would be cool. It'd be a fun concept for a game. I think that would be great. It'd be fun to play. You could take your time with it. You don't have to do it all in one sitting. Save your progress along the way, and yeah, I think it'd be cool. And then of course, also every crime randomly take place throughout the decades. So it'd be something different every time. You might have one in the 50s where you don't have much technology to do things yourself, or you have a recent crime, quote unquote, where it's very recent or something, where you can use machines, computers, technology, and internet research and save you a lot of time and stuff. See, I think that'd be a nice mix of variety. So, okay, anyways, number 2, my second favorite video game idea, in no particular order, but saving the best for last. All right, so one thing that was, in my opinion, never completely utilized in video games that I've always wanted to see is dinosaurs. There's never any cool dinosaur games ever. I'm sorry, no offense. There's just cool moments. That's the way I like to describe it. There's cool moments in games that use dinosaurs in them. Even the big ones, even the ones that you think of right away. To me, no one's ever hit the mark, though. Nobody's ever really done anything crazy with them. So this is what I would want to do, okay, in a game, is have an RTS, which is a real-time strategy game, with dinosaurs. And what I like about the kind of RTS games that I like are, besides the obvious, which is big-scale combat, with a lot of bots on screen, a lot of AI on screen, a lot of characters and NPCs on screen, because that's important to me in games. But I also, when you are the player, the physical player, not the computer, but the physical player with the controller or whatever, I like you to be able to pick any ally on your team, on your field, and you can play as them too, not just be the guy that controls everything around it, but like you make your base, you make your station to make more dinosaurs or combat characters or whatever. But you can also choose any of your allies on your field and physically control them yourself, do their own movements, have their own attacks and skills and combos and stuff. Not just simple 3 buttons and a joystick, but I mean, I'd like to see if you can do a lot of stuff. So each dinosaur has a lot of different moves, a lot of different things to attack with, a lot of jumping abilities, dodging, moving abilities, everybody's got different stats and stuff. That's what would make this stand out to me. So just imagine, you could play this game by yourself, because you could obviously, as I stated before, play against AI, play against computer players. Okay, cool, no problem. So like, your team against the computer's team, right? You don't need internet for that, is what I'm trying to say. So you could, let's say in your team, you make your base, right? Because that's what you do in RTS games, okay? So you'd make one station for like I'll say Velociraptors or something as an example. Another station you'd make for which would take longer to do, of course, because they'd be more powerful, but like your T-Rexes or something. Another station for your Triceratops, blah, blah, blah. And then maybe some support dinosaurs, like dinosaurs that are weak, that wouldn't really be good at fighting, such as flying ones or something. You could say those are health dinosaurs or something. You know what I mean? I'm just saying in a general sense. And then you try and take apart your opponent's base, whether that's a real character, or real player gamer, or if it's an AI one. I'm saying it, but that kind of a game would be fun, because dinosaurs will never get used too well, and this would be a good way to do it, I think. And number 2, I'd love it because if you're making a big scale, combat sequence, right? You got like 100 Velociraptors, you got 30 T-Rexes, you got 20 Triceratops, whatever, and then your opponent has, etc., whatever they have. Anybody on your field, you can boop, click on them, and then you can control them yourself, and it's in your own way. Not just tell them where to go, which you always do in RTSs, but actually use them yourself as its own, as if you're the one controlling everything it does. So you can make it jump, you can make it sprint, you can make it bite, you can make it slash, you can make it kick, you can make it punch, you can make it slap, you can make it elbow, you can make it tail swipe, you can make it charge, whatever. You get the point that I'm trying to make. You could really control them, though. I don't want just a little 2-3 button function control. I want you to be able to, when you take control of one of your characters, combatants, team members, whatever you want to call it, to have a lot of options available. And this would be fun to play with other people, and also if you don't have internet or whatever, or in an area that doesn't have internet, be able to play against the computer. I don't see why that'd be such a problem. I think it'd be great. Have 2-on-2s, so two teams with two different bases go against two teams with two different bases, and you can have you play with all three players, or you and another player play, whatever the case is. Make any way you want it to work. And as far as a concept idea, not that I need to go too much further, but if you'd want like either like a custom team, so your dinosaurs is just whatever you pick to do for each option, or maybe do something like a history lesson sort of thing where you have one team could be Jurassic against the Triassic against the Ceratops. Like you just go against different times of evolution of dinosaurs, because there's different time zones of them. So if you, maybe that's an idea, it's just an idea, it doesn't mean it has to be that way. But that's just a concept that I thought would be neat. But so that's something I think would be cool. It would be a cool way to actually put dinosaurs in a game, but where it would be so much fun. It would actually be done well, because in my opinion, no dinosaur game or game that has any amount of dinosaurs in them has ever been done well enough for me to walk away like, wow, that was really fun. I actually got to have a good time as a dinosaur in a game. Because what's the point of playing video games for in the first place, anyways, besides to kill time or whatever, is to be able to do things you couldn't normally do and see things you couldn't normally see. That's supposed to be the point, anyways. So, okay, I'll move on here. Game number 3 in my top 5 favorite personal video game ideas. Okay, this would be really cool. So, open world games, I love them. I absolutely love open world games. They've done very well in the past. They've been very successful. So this is my take on it. This is what I would want to see. I'd want to see an open world game where you go into 3 or more different worlds total. And what I mean is each of the worlds would have a completely different look, a completely different arrangement, completely different everything. So it's not like I'm not saying you cross a bridge and you're in the other. No, I'm saying 3 different worlds, completely different stories in them, different everything. This is the way I script the game. I would say that there's something is haunting the main character, whatever his or her name is, and they need to go figure it out. And it happens to take place through 3 different dreams. Okay, so they have to solve. And so dream number 1 would be on this big landscape, a snowy mountainous landscape, and it's all medieval weapons, so swords, bows, stuff like that. Medieval weapons, so no guns, no cars, no electricity. So all the combat would be medieval times combat. It'd be swordplay combat. It'd be non-gun type based combat. And what would be cool about this? So all right. It's right there, what I just said, a snowy, mountainous planet, inhabited planet, and you got to solve this mystery of what happened to your character or whatever. So you're doing an open world game, which means go at your own pace, do the missions and side quests and stuff at your own pace. Okay, so do all that, right? And then that is the end of your first dream. So when you're done with that, you move on to the second one. Now, the second one would be modern day, as in modern day, and it would be in an urban city environment, so skyscrapers and you know, uh, tanks, helicopters, airplanes, guns, like modern guns, taxi cabs, ambulances, police cars, have trains, have submarines, have cruise ships, have everything modern, like suburbs, houses. So it'd be and now you're in an open world in this world now in this game. So now again, side quests, main quests, do what you gotta do at your own pace because it's what open world games what you do. Go through that whole game, and now you're playing with guns. You're not playing with swords or whatever. You are playing with guns now. You are playing with machine guns, light machine guns, shotguns, pistols, rifles, assault rifles, sniper rifles, rocket launchers, RPGs, and etc. etc. You're modified weapons. You're doing all sorts of quests, and you're doing all sorts of uh, findings and discoveries in this open world. This is a completely different open world than your last one, not just with the looks of it and the time and the era, but the combat is completely different and revamped in this area. And you're going, wow, this is all happening in one game. Okay, and then fast forward a long time, you solve that one. Okay, then you go to another open world, and this is as far as I've got. Doesn't mean there can't be more, but this is as far as I've got with my thinking. Okay, you go into the next open world in your character's quest, and this open world is far into the future, where you are in space. Gravity is low. There's nothing but rockets and spaceships and lasers and stuff, and your combat is everybody's looking like machines, or at least partly machines, and everything like that. So the combat's gonna be completely different because now you're shooting lasers at each other and beams and stuff. It's now you're not using guns like in the last one, in the last world. Now you're not using swords like in the first world, and knives and spears and stuff. Now you're using laser, like you're in the future. So now you're able to use like jetpacks and stuff and fly from one crater to another crater, and then you have to, now you're in an open world in a whole nother world, and not only is the timing and the era new again, but the all the combat is revamped again. Okay, and now you're probably thinking, well, Adam, how are you going to be able to fit all that into one game? That just sounds ridiculous. The reason why I do think it could be possible, just to be fair, see, on average, open world games have about 16 square miles in game that you can travel. So I'm just thinking each world, split it up. If there's 3 worlds, then do like 5 each, right? 5 square miles for each different era, each different timing, each different terrain. And then the combat is obviously going to be different in each of them, and so on and so forth. I think it's possible, to be honest with you. I really do. If you can, I don't know. Wishing, of course, you could do something like 16 square miles per world or per era or whatever for what your character's going through. But I'm saying I get it. That might not be possible or even plausible. But I'm saying, okay, if you could split it up then. So 5 square miles in the mountainous medieval combat world, 5 square miles in the urban modern day gun combat environment, and then etc. 5 square miles or so in the futuristic, post-apocalypse in the outer space rim sort of combat esque area. But you get the idea, is what I'm trying to say. So that would be my kind of open world game where you're literally not just in one world, but you're in like at 3 minimum different worlds. I think that would be amazing because not only just for the different worlds, folks, but for the different combats, because that would stick out very nicely. Like compared to other games, if you're in an open world game, you know why they get boring, in my opinion anyway, is they're fun. I love them, but I'm just saying you get bored because you're like, well, okay, I've had enough shooting guns on the street while I'm driving 80 miles per hour in my sports car in one day. Now I'm bored. Now I want to go do some sword game or whatever. I want to do some puzzle game, whatever. This would take care of that problem easily, in my opinion, I think. Because then you can go from world to world, and I mean, you'd have to unlock them, I'm saying, but you could go back in them, do other side quests, or just, fight the the locals or whatever. And you would have completely different combats, completely different gameplay mechanics. The variety would be just insane. It'd be completely insane. It'd be amazing, I think. So that would be my best idea as far as for an open world game. I think that would be amazing. Just oh, it'd be beautiful. So okay, now game idea number 4. Okay, so this game, again, I'm sorry, again, I don't have titles for this game. This game, not only do I want it to happen, I'm surprised it never happened. At least to the extent that I'm gonna explain it. Okay, so I would love to see this really badly. So I could just imagine this. It's a game where you have it. Now it's going to be mostly based. It would be mostly fun for fun. Mostly have the majority of your playing it for the multiplayer, which both I'm saying online multiplayer and against offline bots, because I like games to be able to be played for fun and for what they are, even if you don't have internet available. I want you to be able to play them as well and have just as much fun, okay, with smart AI playing for the bots, offline bots, okay? So this game would be all medieval combat, okay? So no guns, no electricity, none of that. And I want this game to be, and again, I'm saying focus on the multiplayer aspect for this moment, okay? As I explain this. So, and again, choose from first or third person view. That would be something cool. No HUD, which is heads up display. So no health bar, no ammo count, no crosshair in the middle of your screen right there where you get to see where you're gonna attack, or none of that. I don't want none of that. Get it out of there. Okay, I want you to have nothing but your view of your hand or hands holding your weapons and shields or whatever. That's the only thing you see. You don't see any crosshairs. You don't see any target signs or anything. None of that nonsense. Okay, so this is what I love. You go online, right? You got duels, one-on-one battles, or you got like a 4-on-4s. You got 5-on-5s, or you got capture the flags. You got team conquest, team domination, big team battles where you got like 16 versus 16 or something like that anyway. And it's all medieval weapons. So I'm telling you, you customize your character, right? You'd wear like a flag or something that would have your team's color on it, okay? But I'm saying you choose from swords, and I want people who make this game to have research. So when I say swords, I don't mean, oh, you got a little sword. I mean, I'm saying I want a huge variety of landscape over however many swords have been made throughout the years, including Japanese swords, including Chinese swords, including Roman swords, and I want to see swords from everywhere that have ever been made. That's what I want to see. Okay, so I'm saying that the selection has got to be huge, and they all have different stats, different lengths, different weights, different balances, different uses, whatever. All of those, okay? I want to see spears. I want to see maces, metal and steel maces. I want to see axes, battle axes, and short axes. I want to see kai knives. I want to see knives. I want you to be able to dual wield, have one weapon in each hand if the weight is appropriate for that. Okay, don't get overboard and unrealistic. I want you to be able to have shields if your main weapon, primary weapon, allows you to do so. I want you to have any other weapon. Like I want you to have like that chain where at the end of the chain it holds like a knife or some sharp object. I forget what that's called. Pardon me, but I want you to have that thing available. I want you to have just war hammers, all that stuff. Bows and arrows, even if you want to, but it might be a disadvantage. But you could use them if you'd like to. Now, so in this game, that's how the combat would be. Okay, no vehicles. I will allow horses. I think that's appropriate. You could ride a horse and attack on a horse, but then you'd be an easier target to hit, of course, because you're on a big horse. Is all they'd have to do is hit the horse or whatever. Okay, so there would be cannons in the game, but it would be stable, stationary cannons that would be on the maps that you could find. You could use them, and cannons as well as automatic arrow shooters. I don't know what they're called, pardon me, but some kind of a turret that they had in medieval times that would shoot arrows on their own. Again, stationary, okay? And, again, use them, they'd be powerful, but then you'd be an easy target because you're stationary, you can't move with them. So then I think, now what this game needs to excel at, or else it will not work, for me, personally, the combat has to be amazing. It just has to be. I'm sorry, but the mechanics and the structure, it has to be amazing. You have to, if you can this can't be a game, because this would make me hate the game. If you just have to keep, let's say you and the other guy has a sword. If you just have to keep pressing attack, 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 until someone drops dead, that would bore the shit out of me. I wouldn't like that. I wouldn't want that to be the game that I am hoping for. What I want is, and I don't want some stupid, this is another thing, please don't do this, avoid this at all costs. I don't want this game to be a thing where something will flash on the screen, and if you press your button at the right time, you will do a counterattack and whatever, and cause an amazing thing to happen. But I don't want that. None of that crap. I don't want any of that nonsense. I want this game to be where even though there's no HUD, so no crosshairs, no arrows or targets, but I'm saying wherever you're aiming your sword or your weapon, okay, you're going to hit in that exact direction. And of course this will be in variety too, because I want every button to be utilized in the controllers. So, like a quick attack or a sideways attack or like a slice, or like like a slow but strong attack or whatever. I want there to be so much variety in the way of the combat. But what I'm saying is, I don't want it to be where, you just have to keep pressing the trigger or the button, until someone drops. See, that would be boring. What I want is where it really is gonna come down to who can aim and who can react quicker. I don't want the block button to be an automatic block. Oh, I'm holding the block button, so no matter what you do, I'm going to block it. I don't like that crap. If you're holding the block button, you have to aim that block as well, okay? I'm not with the arm. I'm saying if you had a shield or if you're holding a sword in front. And that's the only way it'll work. Not just you hold the block button and everything's blocked. That's stupid. I don't like that. I want this to be, if you hold that block button, you got to be aiming your block against your opponent. And either it blocks the damage completely, or it blocks it somewhat, so you'll still take some damage, but not as much, or the block just backfires and you still take as much damage as you would have because you weren't in the right area. I want all that to be important and a part of this game, okay? And so all those weapons that you have at your disposal, and I want you to also have, if you're not using bow and arrows, well, even if you are, but I'm saying the ability to have some throwaway weapons, aerial weapons, such as shurikens or throwing knives. And depending on what your character has, would be how easy it is to access them, to use them. So if you have a bunch of light weapons, I'm saying the reaction time should be like this, where you press the throw button or whatever you want to call it, and then deep in your pocket, and then boom, you throw them, and then boom, okay? Easy enough. If you're carrying heavy weapons, or a shield and a sword, or a shield and a appropriately sized weapon, and you press the shurikens or throw the throwing knives button, I don't want it to be just as fast. No. I want it to actually take a second for your person to actually get down there and then throw them. So you have to learn to know how long that delay is going to take if you do that, because I don't want it to be the same for everybody. That wouldn't be fair and wouldn't be right or realistic, okay? And also, this might be stupid, but I do want to see this just because I would like it to be something that would get everybody worried at all times, as to have a throw your weapon button, okay? So like if I'm holding a sword, at any time I'm saying you can press this button and you'll chuck it at your opponent, okay? And I want this to be so crazy to the point where I'm saying, not like, now if you're using a tomahawk, that's a little different, because when you throw that weapon's pretty damn accurate. It's going to be nice. It's going to get the job done. But I'm saying as far as like a sword, like if you have a long sword or something, or medium-sized sword, or a battle axe or warhammer, and you throwing that, I don't want it to be, I don't want the physics in this game to be where it's the same throw every time. Where, okay, if I look at that wall and I got my long sword and I press that button and I throw it, it's just gonna go in the same way every time, like a straight cut or whatever, right, coming right at you from the pointy side. I don't want it to be. I want it to be random. I want it because I'm thinking realism here, okay? So one time you throw it, the sword might be perfect for what you want. The next time you press that button, it might go sideways and just do a teensy bit of damage or something. It might be like stupid. I want that weapon to, or that, excuse me, that button to be used as sort of a, I don't know what to call it, but like an outlier, like the oddball out, like the weird, random weapon to make the combat even more intense and just strange, like something that you don't know if it's gonna pay off. You know what I mean? Like if you have a sword and a shield, you throw your shield at them, for example. You just chuck it, and you know what? It might hurt them just enough to kill them, or hurt your opponent just enough for you to finish them with only one blow instead of two or something with your sword that you have. Okay, and so see, my point is, I think this game would be awesome, whether you're playing online or you're playing just offline with bots. I want the computer players to be smart, the AI to be smart in this game. I'm saying take cover or whatever, but and you can play with bow and arrows if you want to. But here's my point is, so you're doing capture the flag, okay, run around, get the flag, blah blah. Bunch of people die in the process. You play team deathmatch, 4-on-4, 5-on-5, whatever, or you do. I like to see game modes too, where it's like everybody has one life. Imagine a game where you got 16 players or something, and everybody just has one life, so it's really intense. So you're depending on whoever the last guy alive is on your team, and you're just spectating them, watching like, oh my god, what's gonna happen? You know, I think it'd be crazy. And since this isn't a gun game, because the difference between gun combat and, you know, sword fighting / medieval weapon combat is when you're in gun combat, what do you do really? I mean, let's just be honest here. You're just pressing the trigger until somebody dies, right? In those kind of games, that's all you do. Not saying it's a bad thing necessarily, but it's just, at some point, it's like, come on, it's boring. It's, you know, so because it's just, okay, I gotta just take cover and keep backing out and shooting, backing out and shooting, backing out and shooting until somebody falls, right? And then it gets boring after a while. Whereas in this game mode, this is the point I'm trying to make. In this type of combat, right? If I'm the last guy alive and there's 3 other guys and they all see me, let's say, okay, if I had a gun, right? They had guns. Well, one of them could shoot me easily and done. In this type of a game, okay, if I'm good enough to with using my sword, using my, if I have any shurikens or throwing knives, using my battle axe, using my spear, whatever it is, okay, I want to be able to show that if you're good enough, you could still win, like in these scenarios. So if I'm the last guy in my team, everybody else already died and they have one life in this game mode, there's 3 other guys, you know, I'm saying just the fact that it could be possible. So they're coming at me, I have a spear, well, I take a long jab and it pays off because I happen to hit that guy. He couldn't get close enough because his weapon was short range. The next guy comes after me, you know, whatever happens, somehow I kill him in the game. And then the last guy, whatever happens, somehow I kill him or whatever. Or maybe he's only got bow and arrows, and I'm able to dodge all those bows coming at me, and I'm able to kill him in the game or whatever. Just moments like that would be very cool to watch. And even just one-on-one combat, whether partaking in it in the game or watching it, okay, between 2 AI computer player or between a player and a player, whatever it is, it's intense. To me, it's more intense than just a gun showdown because all that is whoever finds the other person first shoots and wins, unless, of course, you miss your shot. But you know what I mean. I'm saying, whereas with medieval weapons, it's all about endurance and durability and stuff, and who can outsmart and outwit the other. So I think it'd be so cool. It'd be so much fun to be able to do that. I'd have a blast with this game. No, that's the online slash the multiplayer slash the playing offline with bots version of the game. Now, in the campaign version of this game, okay, this is what I'd want to see. I want to have a real story, okay, a real story mode with real cutscenes and stuff, and an action adventure game. And I want it just to go through all sorts of different environments. So I want to see castles. I want to see darkness where you're holding a torch or a candle or something. I want to see grassy meadows. I want to see large mountains. I want to see volcanoes. I want to see the stars. I want to see you run, and I want to see this definitely, by the way, some huge scale combat. I want to, whatever the storyline is, I don't care necessarily, but I want in that story mode campaign, which will be multiplayer as well, to be able to do with other players. But I want to see just some massive combat, maybe like 50 or so NPCs, maybe like 50 people on the screen or something, including your character. And you really should feel what it would be nice to feel like in those large combat scenarios. Like, I'd want that to be in this game. I think it'd be awesome. And maybe some missions in this action adventure game where, you know what, it's like a sneak around mission or something, and you don't use swords and knives, you just use bow and arrows or something. How cool would that be? I think that'd be great if this game could really nail the combat. Okay, that's the most important thing, is getting the combat where it's actually the way I described it, okay? Then this game would be phenomenal. This game would be so much fun. I'm telling you, it would just be amazing. Simply put, it would be amazing. This game would be incredible, okay? All right, now, number one, this is my most favorite video game idea of all time. This is what I would want in my favorite. This is what my favorite video game would be. And the funny thing is, I'm narrowing it down to the most simplest fraction of what the whole game would be, because this is the only part to me that matters enough for me to say, yes, this would be my favorite game ever. Okay, so this, and again, I don't have a title for it, sorry, but this is what I would want in my favorite ever video game, okay? I'd want this game, okay, where it is gun and a little bit of melee combat in it, okay, large scale. So this is what I'm saying, okay? And again, the ability to do first or third person view. I'd want to have AI, artificial intelligence, smart AI, bots online and or offline, so you can play this game the same as multiplayer. If you have no internet, just play with smart bots that are fun, but also online. So if there's only 10 people playing in one room, then I'm saying it would be nice to be able to have bots fill in the others so that it would still be a large scale combat game. So this is what I would love, right? So in this game, each team out of the two teams, right, it'd be a capture the bases game. Okay, yeah, we've all seen that, we've all heard of that. But this is what would make my idea stick out, okay? So each team has like a couple different, I'll call them like hero or generals characters that you can get from doing things. And I'll explain that in a second. So, all right, I want a big variety of guns, okay? I'm talking lots of guns, right? So just a ton of them, right? I want just such a nice variety and a lot of customization options on these guns in this game. And I want me some vehicles. It's very important for me personally to have games like this, to have vehicles. So I'm talking not just land vehicles, not just tanks and jeeps and stuff, but I also need aerial vehicles. I need air combat, because that stuff is seriously my favorite thing to have in those type of games. So I want this game to have vehicles that are flying in the air that are, picking up other team members, dropping them off maybe at another base, shooting at the ground, causing way more damage than a normal gun would do, just helping, giving your team air support, as well as, obviously, air on air combat, as in your air vehicles fighting against the opposing team's air vehicles and stuff like that, okay? That's very important for me because that's something that I hate when it's not in a game, and I love it when it is in a game. I think it's so much fun to be in a large combat game with a huge terrain, and there is, airplanes or spaceships or helicopters or whatever it is in the air assisting you or keeping you safe or picking you up and pulling off those miracles. Okay, I love it. As well as I'm saying things like jeeps, things like tanks, stuff like that. This isn't an army or a current military game or anything like that. Those are just, I'm saying what I want them to be like. I'm thinking more of like a somewhat futuristic kind of a thing, okay? So I'm not saying army tanks or army jeeps or Humvees and jets. What I'm saying is like spaceships or floating hovercrafts, kind of things like that, okay? In a general sense, we don't need to get really specific, but I need that in this game. I need the AI to be good and smart, the bots to be good and smart enough to capable to do just as many things as you are able to do, they can do. Just as many vehicles as you can use well, they can use well, and so on and so forth. This is what would separate this game from the others, okay? Is for one, and this is so, I can't believe nobody else has done this yet, and if they have, not to the extent that I want it done, is the bases that your team / your opponent's team captures, every base, I want it to have a real function, not just you have a base, now you can spawn here. I want it to have more functions than that. Okay, let me give you some examples I've thought of in my thoughts, okay? Is let's say there's a base that looks like a giant satellite, okay? Like a giant satellite, and you'd actually have to go to the top of the satellite using stairs, elevators, and ladders, and all sorts of things to get up there. So imagine how frantic it would be to try and capture that base when there's enemies shooting at you and there's snipers shooting at you and stuff like that, right? But my point is, so you get up there, let's say you capture it for your team or whatever. What this satellite would do is it would activate, spin around. It would give your team radar, where there's no radar in the game, but now there is for your team because you captured this base. So it would be like a crazy advantage. And if it's too much of an advantage, maybe down the line update the game and lighten it to maybe like for a couple minutes or something. So that'd be like one thing. Another base, okay, you capture it. It would give you an aerial vehicle that has a lot more health than a normal aerial vehicle, and it's going to be slower somewhat than normal aerial vehicles, but it's also a base itself that you can spawn up, I'm going to say up to 3 people every, let's say 2 or 3 minutes. You can spawn them from the base and drop out from it. So if you want to hover over enemy bases with that thing, you can. And a couple players, I don't want to go overboard, but a couple players from your team can spawn right at that vehicle and drop down maybe via parachute or something down from it. I think that'd be a crazy advantage, right? So then everyone's going to want to get that base. Okay, go to another base that you capture. This one, maybe it'll allow you to summon one of your hero characters, okay? And I'll get to that in a minute, okay? But that'll be like one advantage. Another base, well, this base allows, it'll give you more vehicle options to have on your site or something like that, okay? Something like that, cool, right? And then, this base will allow you to, I don't know, I kind of drawing a blank on some of the ideas I had, but you get the general idea, okay? I'm saying not just you capture a base and it just lets you spawn there and whatever, but also want to have real functions too throughout the game. Now, an idea for my favorite map, which is why I said I'm scaling this game down to like just the one portion of the game that it would matter the most to me. I want this map, okay? Giant, huge open mountains with trees on it and stuff like that throughout it. And I want there to be like a large buildings, like not saying like super tall skyscrapers, but pretty tall buildings and a bunch of like little house like buildings with doors that all can be opened, okay? So it's not like they're just there to look at, but I mean, you can really go in them. Whether there's bases or not in them can be another story, but I want you to be able to go in them. So if you want to hide there and snipe, you want to go in there and have a bunch of, you're going to fight for a spot or something or flank opponents, whatever, be able to go into all those buildings. So not just be there for show, but be there to be used. Okay. I want cliffs. I want cliffs that are on cliffs. I want, what else am I missing here? I want the water areas where there's like large rivers and stuff. So I want all of that to take place on what I'll call my favorite map. Okay, and so you're fighting. You got all these different guns to choose from. I want a huge variety, all these vehicles on your side, and you want to get your opponent's points or whatever down to 0. And when you capture these bases, like I said before, each base has a real function that you can add as advantages to your team, whereas same as your opponent, when they capture base, they'll have advantages to add to their team as well. Okay, now this is what would make this game just have everything I want in a game. Okay, so the hero characters, and I've come up with like 4-ish ideas for now, but there can be more certainly. Is okay. Oh, okay. I remembered another step, but I'll get to that in a second. So one of the heroes, I thought of an idea. So this guy, I don't have names or anything, so just bear with me. I'm giving you the minimum details, but so this character, this hero character, excuse me, so to have more health than a normal character, but same capabilities. But this one would have, it'd be really fast, so it could move at a fast speed, okay? And it would have claws on each hand, okay? And it would be able to shoot those claws, so like projectiles, a certain amount of times, and it would be melee combat, right? So you'd stab opponents with them, and it would be able to stab fast, okay? It's not gonna have as much range as a gun, obviously, but I want it to be able to have, it'd be because you're using melee, it would be fast though, so just quick attacks and strong quick attacks, right? Also, one advantage that would make this guy impressive, this hero, general, whatever you want to call it, character for your team, is it should be able to climb any surface. Now that would be crazy, right? Am I right? That would be awesome. So like it could climb on top of, if there is a giant cliff and you normally need to go through the stairs or walk around the other side of the cliff and then everyone's waiting for you with grenades and whatever explosives, where this guy can climb any surface. So if their player is smart using them, they can use them to get into areas that normally wouldn't be able to be getting into, and you could help create some amazing strategies with that. I think that'd be amazing. Or even just climb something anyway that isn't for, like a cliff or something, or a tall building or a tall structure, but just climbing in general to escape from receiving more damage or something. Just something crazy like that. That would be okay. Another hero character that I thought of. This one would be so cool. So I don't know how to describe it. Like I wish I had like a picture or something I could show you. I want this guy to have a super long sword, like a super long. So I'm talking about long. Okay, so like this sword maybe like 12 feet long, right? And so this guy, when he could, again, just as melee combat, but his range is pretty decent. Okay, so like, yes, he's gonna take damage because the main bulk of the combatants in this game have guns, so they're gonna be shooting at him. Yeah, but he can have enough range to attack at a distance that is pretty feasible or decent enough that it will work, right? So, and not only that, but I think this character should have some homing explosives that could be not perfect. I don't want it to be perfect because I don't like unfair advantages, but decently, if you can time it right, explosives that can follow and land on enemy vehicles pretty well. Okay, like not perfect where you just throw it and it's just going to work, but I mean decently enough. Okay, and one thing I totally forgot to mention, pardon me, 1,000 pardons, is I want these hero characters to also have at least one team support function. So whatever it is, I don't care, but I want there to be something. So like, let's say one of the heroes characters can give your teammates like a quick health boost or something. Another one give them a speed boost. Another one give them a damage increase. Another one give them the ability to reload faster or something, right? Whatever it is, you get the idea. Just I want that every hero character to have that, okay? So that would be now the other hero character. This one, just to show you how diverse I would love the combat to be. This guy or girl, whatever, and I don't know what I'd call it. I don't have names for anything. I don't really go into details because I don't think these ideas will come true. But I'd like another hero, whatever you want to call it, character, to have a what's the word? A staff. Okay. Now this staff is basically telekinesis. Okay, so what this would do is you could pick up a player, or excuse me, you could push a player forcibly. I'm not saying you take the staff against them and shove them. I'm saying you'd like push, like as in using like gravity to throw them, to hurl the wind at them. Now, if you just do that, it'll just do just a tiny bit amount of damage. But if you do that to them against a surface, so if there's a wall behind them and you push them with that magic or whatever you want to call it, and then they hit the wall, it should do pretty good damage. I'm thinking 33 out of 100 of their health points is what the damage should do. And if you do that to them and they fall off a cliff and die, you should get the point for the kill. You know, I think that would be amazing. Another thing too, pick up objects with the staff, with the telekinesis of the staff, and hurl it at either vehicles or enemies or doors to break doors open or whatever, and including being able to lift dead or destroyed vehicles. So like if there's a vehicle dead and its parts are just sitting there, like its tires or its what's the word? I'm blanking right now, but so if you have like a Jeep type of vehicle that's destroyed, you can pick up its hood and telekinesisly use that to throw it at somebody, or try to throw it at somebody, is what I'm saying. Nothing's automatic, but use that as well to create a lot of damage. And I think this person shouldn't be terribly fast, but they should be able to float as well. Not to the point of extreme, but they should be able to float and glide pretty nicely so they can pull off some cool tricks too. All right. And another hero I'd like to see is somebody who would have maybe like a dual wielding, like really sharp swords, and they could run pretty fast, and they could, again, the only kills they can get is melee kills. Maybe give them one type of projectile weapon, like throwing explosives or something, but for the most part, their kills would have to be based on hand-to-hand melee combat, stuff like that, okay? And so those are the four things that I would love to see for hero characters. Because, and of course, they can fight each other, I'm saying. So if your opponent has one and you have one, somewhere on your team, yeah, they could end up fighting each other. And I want that melee combat to be nice, very nice. I don't want it to be, as I described in a previous game. I know it's a different game, but I'm saying I don't want it to be where it's just keep pressing the attack button until someone dies. No, I want it to be nice. I want it to be done well. I want it to be done fun, where if you're smart enough, you're strategic enough, or sometimes lucky enough or whatever, you'll pull off the kill. So, and I forgot to mention, all those hero characters with the melee weapons, I want them to be able to have a block function, yes. Now, no unfairness. I don't want anything crazy unfair, okay? But if you were just holding block constantly and you're getting shot at, I wanted to maybe take away like 1 or 2/5 of the damage that would have been received, okay? If you press it at the right time, I want it to deflect it back, the bullet or laser or whatever being shot at you, back at the one who shot it in the general direction, not just an automatic boom, it's going to hit you and you're going to get hit and killed by it because I blocked at the right time, but in the general direction. So it's not too unfair, but it's a nice thing to have if you're good enough at the game to pull that off, okay? So if you block, you do it well enough at the right timing, you time it just right, you're getting shot at. Maybe not all the bullets shot at you if you want, but the ones that you blocked at the moment enough. Because if you have 6 shotgun pellets coming at you, maybe you'll block 2 or 3 of them by pressing block at the right time. It'll go in the general direction of where you were being shot at. Okay. Doesn't mean it will hit them. It might though, and if it does, then they will suffer the damage that would have been done to you from those shots. Okay, and so that's something that also is very important. So, if for the 2 hero characters I described that have dual wielding weapons, okay, so one in each hand, they can block one at a time or both. So, and if they do that, if they block with both hands at the same time or within like a second, and it is the right timing that you're supposed to pull it off when you're getting shot at, yes, I want both of those to do as I described. So it is an advantage to have the 2 weapons for those heroes. You should be able to shoot those shots back in the general directions where they came from. 2 instead of 1, or 2 different things being shot at you instead of 1 instance, but you could do it 2 at once if you can become skilled enough to pull that off with 2 hands. Okay, for that character. That's something I would love to see. All right. Another thing I forgot to mention, again, pardon me, but so for the normal common characters, okay, I want all of them to have 1 melee weapon, just a little simple sword, not a long sword, just a simple sword in case you run out of ammo, okay? You can block. No, you cannot deflect shots back at anything. No deflecting, but just lighten damage or block another sword from attacking you and stuff like that. Okay, nothing crazy, but just in a general sense. Okay, I want you to be able to have a medium-sized sword or whatever, just in case you run out of ammo and you don't have to rely on gun butting to your opponent to death or whatever. And then the other thing I need to have is classes, and I don't know, maybe like 10 or so classes. So yes, I want an engineer, I want an assault class, I want a medic class, I want maybe like a pilot class, I want like a marksman class, I want a close quarters combat class, I want a demolitions class, I want a specialist type of class. So all those things, I do want that. This is a kind of game where I want that, but I want you to be pretty lenient with what weapons you can have, as far as your primary gun for each class. I don't think I need to go crazy and say you have to have like this kind of a gun if you're a medic or something. I don't believe in that. I think you should be able to choose that. It shouldn't be a problem. And your secondary weapon, nothing too crazy, but I think you should be able to have any type of pistol you want. And if you have a light enough primary weapon, I think you should be able to have the option, if you'd like to dual wield, if it's a light enough weapon, to have that as your option. Okay? And the only other detail I can think of to say is, one thing that I would love is, so every time you do something, as in you get a kill, you get an assist, you destroy an enemy vehicle, you take over a base, you kill an enemy hero, or let's see, you heal enough of your teammates, or you build enough things or repair enough things with your engineer type of character class, etc., etc. Okay, defending your base points or whatever, etc. You get enough of those points. Those points is like a currency that are only used in that round, in that game. Okay, not for in that match, we'll call it. Not for the rest of your whatever, but for that match. And so with that currency you gain, whatever it's going to be called, you should be able to do cool things like um, upgrade your weapons even more, or upgrade a vehicle that you like, or something that you're near, you're actually physically there, or upgrade a base even. So I think it'd be cool if, let's say you got a character that's just amazing, like, I mean, a guy in your team, whether it's a bot or a actual playing gamer, but they're doing amazing. They're just accruing so much points or whatever in this match. They can use that currency, maybe like buy your base a secondary defense, maybe like a longer takeover time for your opponent, so it takes them longer to take that base over. That could be an option. Maybe another option could be build up some like barbed wire areas so it's harder to get through, unless they break it down with a vehicle or something, of course, obviously. Maybe build some turrets of your choice, or that you can afford or whatever. um, Share them, give them to someone else if you want, or because that could be a strategy too. Because if there's something expensive and you have 500 and your teammate has 400, well, now you could have 900, or to make whatever. Build a platform to. This is the most common thing I can think of. Pay to have more air support, so be able to buy another aerial vehicle, or maybe um, speed up the respawn time for etc. for whatever. But I want that to be a function in this game too. Okay. So maybe this is another one, and I just thought of this now. As I said, each base should have its own cool function. So maybe for the radar function, maybe it only lasts 5 minutes. Maybe I could say that. And then if you wanted to spend your currency, you could restart it, right? So but you'd have to go physically to it. But maybe you restart it for 5 minutes, spend 300 coin or whatever it is you want to call it on that. I think that would be not only fun, but just the teamwork involved would be crazy, right? And again, I want the bots, offline bots slash online bots, to fill in the blanks for missing gamers and real people in the game. I want them to be smart, not only smart, but good, strong, and equally as capable as you are to do anything function in the game. They can fly any vehicle, drive any vehicle, shoot any weapon, sprint, jump, kick, do anything that you can do. They can additionally do. Okay, so not just you get to do it all. They get to do that. Okay, so whatever that game's called, that's the smallest detail. Is I don't know what I'd do for the campaign mode, the single player mode, or anything, and I don't know what other maps I'd want, or other game modes even. But that's what I would want. I think that would be just simply amazing. It'd be chaos. It'd have everything I want in a game. Okay, it'd be just epic. It'd be amazing. Okay, so that's my number one. Those are my top 5 personal favorite video game ideas that I'd love to see happen sometime. And I'll just give you some honorable mentions. One thing I do like, I love medieval combat games. I really do. I just don't think it's ever been done well enough, but I do love those. RPGs, what kind of RPGs do I like? I like ones where there is magic in them, and I don't like turn-based. I don't. It doesn't mean I hate them all, but I don't like turn-based combat RPG games. And if there is turn-based combat, I like it where in the combat itself you do have to do something, where it's not just press this to attack and that's your turn. I like it where if you press this to attack, you actually have to pull off some kind of maybe a combo or something. And games have done that, and I respect those games. Something like that, where you don't just press attack and that's it. It's simple, it's done. I want you to have more to it than that, which games have done, and I give them credit. And I like magic in RPG games. I like it when you can have healing spells, fire spells, lightning spells, ice, frost spells. Like, I love being able to do that in games. That's something I like in RPGs. Um, Otherwise, another honorable mention, I guess I could say, is I like games. I do like games that go over quickly, where it's like 1 minute is the game, and then you're done, and then you press this button to play again. That's fine. The only thing that I don't want it to be too repetitive. Okay, I want if that's the kind of game I'm gonna do, I want it to be where it's gonna be whatever the type of game is, where it's so random every time that it couldn't possibly be the same thing when I do it again. Okay, that's the kind of thing I'd want. Just saying. And another thing, honorable mention that I would say is, in shooting games, I love, especially shooting games, I should say, I love destructible environments, whether it's complete destruction or just cool destruction, like you see signs or you see windows, you see doors, you see boxes, you see lamps and poles. You should be able to destroy those things and, blow walls down and stuff. And if you can't do that last part, well, at least the majority of things that I said you could do. So I love destructible environments. I absolutely love games that utilize split screens capabilities because most games don't anymore. And I love good AI, smart NPCs, smart bots. I love those things so much. And I love games that you can play even without internet. I love it. Now, as another last thing I'll say, as far as graphics, I love either extremely amazing, detailed, realistic looking graphics, but I'm also okay with like cel shaded graphics. As long as it looks cool though, not just some stupid little cartoon, but if it really is a unique designed cel shaded graphics, I would be impressed and I'd still love the game. It has to look really cool though. It has to for in order for me to want to take part in it. So, anyways, those are my top 5 personal favorite video game ideas. Any one of those games, if they would be to exist, I would play them. I would love them. I would hope that I could do them on my gaming console at home on my TV or on my mobile device, or both. Of course, both would be the best. And if any of these ideas or a fraction of these ideas happen to come to fruition and anybody takes these ideas and uses them, I'm not mad at all. I think that's perfectly okay with me. Yes, I'd like my credit, but if I can't get my credit, I'd just be happy knowing that these awesome ideas I had actually worked and were actually used, and then I myself would be using them when I play them. So I wouldn't be mad at all if these ideas are stolen, taken, or used, or borrowed, whatever you want to use. I would be totally fine with that, 100%. So those are my ideas, and I would implore and challenge other people, even if you're not a blogger or a vlogger or a whatever, to make your own ideas. Or if you don't want to do a video of it, write them down. I'd love to hear them. Those are just my ideas. You have your own ideas. I'd love to hear yours. Hear what you think or what you thought. And yeah, I think that'd be a lot of fun. So let me know what you thought of my ideas. Besides my rambling, my obsessive, talkative nature, but besides that, let me know what you guys think. And I'd love to hear your ideas too. I really would. Not just saying that. I'd love to hear it.